I'm out here in the beautiful fall morning, right beside my wood-fired brick oven here with the components to make the sourdough bread. What are the parts that you need? Well, I have two kinds of flour I'm using today. This is hard red wheat, and I bought this from a local miller, and it's wonderful. You might get it labeled as strong baker's flour or hard flour or bread flour, but that's what I'm using today. In addition to that, I'm going to add some stone ground rye flour that I milled myself, and I'm just going to mix those together in just a second. I just want to show you the components first. Bread's really very simple. There's salt at about 2% of the weight of the flour, and then I've got water. I've heated the water up a little bit to try and get a final dough temperature somewhere around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And then in here is the most important component of all, and this is what makes it sourdough. This is a culture. Look how foamy it is. You can see it's full of life. It has bacteria and wild yeast in here that I have cultured overnight. This has been working for 14 hours from my seed culture, which I put in here with just some bread flour and some water, no salt, and the seed culture, and it's grown overnight at room temperature. So there it is, and now I'm just going to combine these things in the proper order to get the dough going. What I like to do is I'm going to mix it in this big tote today. I'm making 6 loaves of about 1.5 pound loaves, 650 grams sort of thing. So in goes the Levain, as this is called. Okay, so there's the culture, the Levain. To that we add the water. Now you'll notice I've got the water in 2 parts because I may adjust the hydration of this dough at the final stages here, but I know that this is going to be very close to the amount of water we want. Now I have to be fussy with this. I'm just trying to distribute the culture through the water like this. Okay, so that's that. And I'm going to mix the 2 different kinds of flours together. The whole rye flour and the wheat. Now, sourdough, just while I'm mixing this, just thinking about what's special about sourdough compared to regular commercial bread, or bread that's made with commercial yeast, which has one species in it, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and this instead has who knows how many different kinds of yeast and bacteria all working away. And when they feed on the grains that you put in there, they release all sorts of nutrients. They make them available for you, and hence this is a more nutritious kind of bread. And at the same time, they're going to release flavor components, making this bread absolutely delicious. Not everybody has a backyard beautiful oven like this, so you could bake this off certainly in your home oven as well. It's just a lot of fun cooking with wood. Okay, that's mixed. That flour goes in there. And we mix this around. What we're aiming for here is a dough of the right hydration. So if you don't want it too sticky so you can't handle it, in that case you'd add a little more bread flour. And you don't want it so stiff that you're going to, bake a brick. You want a beautiful loaf of bread, so it's about adjusting that. And a lot of that is experience. So you can have a recipe, and then again, there's what happens that day. So I'm guessing this, just looking at this, I know I need some more moisture in here. Well, I'm going to work away at this till I get a nice dough. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm ready to put it into the proof. And this first stage is just a matter of leaving the dough alone. You'll see I'm not kneading it and stretching it and folding it and all of that. That will come later. This is the first part of developing the structure of the bread. And this is called the autolyze. So I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to put it in my proofer, which is just my oven, set at a very, very, very low temperature. So that's about what we're going to do. I'm going to keep working away here until it's all absorbed. Pop it in my oven for about half an hour to an hour, and then I'll be back to show you the next stage of making this sourdough bread. I've just removed the dough from the proofer, which is my oven set at a low temperature, about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's ready for adding the salt and then mixing or kneading. This is a more vigorous kind of mixing than we saw last time. And you can see that time, that autolyze period has changed it. Hydration has happened, gluten has developed, and now the dough, wet hands is the way to handle sticky dough. So you can see it's kind of changed. It's a little gooier. Anyways, I'm going to get this out onto my work surface here, which is just a countertop. Like this. It's amazing how much just leaving the dough alone sometimes is the best way to improve it. And this is a good example, not to be in a great big giant rush. This is definitely an example of slow food. You don't want this to be rushed in any way. Okay, there we go. Get all that out of there. Okay, now to the mixing part. This is where you can use your hands. And it's good to get into the dough like this. And just make friends with your dough, as I always say. You've heard me say that before. And now I need to add the salt. Now, salt is not just about flavor. It's about controlling the growth of the microorganisms, and it's about changing the gluten structure. It has a lot to do with developing the characteristics of the bread. I didn't add it earlier because I wanted all of the yeast and bacteria to not be inhibited in any way in the autolyze period. Okay, so I add it now because everybody's excited about their new environment and they're growing like crazy. So now I can moderate their growth with two factors, salt and temperature. So the salt, once again, is about 2% by weight of the total weight of the flour. And now we incorporate that like this. Let's get that salt in there like that. You'll notice I'm not adding extra flour. That would be a huge mistake. Now this is a big ball of dough, and you might just be making 1 or 2 loaves on your kitchen counter. This isn't quite the same workout, but the technique is the same. So you're stretching it, developing gluten, and strengthening your dough. Pull and stretch. Hands in, rotate, pull and stretch. Like this. Well, I'm going to carry on for about 10 minutes here, and I'll show you how the dough looks at the end of that time. I'm just going to keep going here.